Hey guys, Roy here, and I'm here to finally in this long video that I myself have anticipated for so long. I'm here to talk about one of my three, or at least currently three, favorite bands, Simple Plan. This was not only my first pop punk slash emo band that I liked before I even liked those types of genres, but it's also it's also like it's also the band that made the first band that got me into rock music in general. And not only that, this is probably the most important thing about it. It's the band that finally got me into another relationship, and I cannot be more grateful for that. This video is I decided to make this video in May because that's the birthday month of the frontman of Simple Plan, Pierre Bouvier. That's his birthday's on the 9th, which I guess is the day or around the day I intend to release this video. And yeah, like since his birthday's in a couple days, I decided to film this ranking each of Simple Plan's currently released albums, and talk about them and say why and what each of them means to me, why I ranked each of them the way I ranked them, and yeah, just to see how they hold up, and to just to have fun with it, you know. Also, for the occasion, I am wearing this Simple Plan shirt that I got back in October, like because it's been, even though I've been a fan of them since I was 12 when I first got into them, it's been I haven't gotten any merch for them for years and years, but I finally do, and now that I do, I am so stoked to finally get to this video and be finally making it. And shout out to my awesome, beautiful, adorable, sweethearted girlfriend Emily for watching this, since I know that's the band that got us together. That's them and Avril Lavigne. They both got us together. Coincidentally, them both being Canadian, when we saw them at the Avril Lavigne Greatest Hits tour in Camden. So, I'm super glad to finally be making this video. And if Emily's watching this, I mean, I know she's going to be watching this, but shout out to her. Love you. And I am super glad to finally be making this. So let's get started. Number 6. Self-titled. This album, released in 2008, was Simple Plan's third album. And what are my thoughts on it, you may ask? Even though this album did well commercially, I can't say it would hold up well today. And that comes down to its sound and lyricism. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but it's really just not in my taste, even as a hardcore fan I am of theirs. There's nothing wrong with the fact that it's a creative departure from their other works. It worked for other pop punk acts like Blink 182 and Avril Lavigne with their self-titled albums. This album to me feels like what Folie à Deux was to Fall Out Boy, or what Pretty Odd was to Panic, or what When the World Comes Down was to the All American Rejects at the time of their releases. Sure, most fans loved those albums at the time, but others not so much. I mean, they're loved today. Don't get me wrong, but fans at the time, but a lot of fans at the time criticized them for their moving away from what their previous albums had done, and at least creatively. I remember first getting into this album, or finding this album through the non-single "Time to Say Goodbye," and That was the only song from this album that I liked listening to at the time before I like fully before I started listening to it deeper. The other non-singles that I liked from this album are I Can Wait Forever, Generation, What If, and probably my favorite non-single from this album is Take My Hand. Since that song just has a like an energetic feel to it, like an energetic motivational feel to it that like is just it's one of their more underrated songs, and I just yeah, it has kind of a feel good vibe to it. As for the singles themselves, I think When I'm Gone, the lead single, is like one of their more underrated. Like I didn't appreciate it much at the time when I found this album, but years later, like in my junior year of high school, when I still played tennis on the way to matches, I would like listen to this song, and and it's all I mean it's all right by today's standards, it's good it's good enough. One of the other two singles from this album that I love is the last single, Save You, which was inspired by um Pierre's older brother being diagnosed with cancer, um like all the way back in 2005, and his dealing with it while his brother was um recovering from it. The emotion in that song just really comes alive when you realize that. And like that song is rarely, if ever, has rarely, if not ever, been played live. And I understand why, because like that's like that makes it one of their deepest songs. Like it's like the emotion in it is like it's so good and so raw and so real. Like I think the biggest thing I can remember from this era is Pierre's hair, which which like he definitely changed during this time. And talking about Blink 182's self-titled album again, um his hair, I never noticed how much his hair reminds me of Tom DeLonge's from Blink 182's from his self-titled era, and like how and yeah, yeah, like you can see the resemblance a little bit. Overall, this album isn't bad, but it's just but even as a hardcore fan, Simple Plan fan I am, it's just not really my cup of tea. It sure has its moments, but it just doesn't really stand out as well as the others. The fifth Simple Plan album is Taking One for the Team. Now this is where the nostalgia really starts. Even though I didn't get into the band until 2 years after this album's release, this album somehow still captures like how memorable 2016 was for music, for better or for worse. With much of the lyrics, like most of Simple Plan's work, catching the themes of being of struggle or struggles of being a teenager um or difficulties in relationships. As for the songs from this album that I enjoyed, well, at least the singles, probably the singles from this album I probably enjoyed or are Boom, Opinion Overload, and Perfectly Perfect. These songs, like at first most all three of these songs I only like mildly enjoyed when I first heard them, but as time went on, I started to like as time went on, especially more recent times, like they became more and more relevant for me, like in especially like in terms of my love life. those songs take me back to the days of being a hopeless romantic, wanting to be somebody in the world, or just in general, like just struggling at finding a purpose and like just in general. Non-singles from the album that I enjoyed or still do enjoy are Nostalgic, a song that I listened to transitioning from uh 8th to ninth grade, which was the first song from the album that I remember actually liking. P.S. I Hate You, a song that got me through like two heartbreak scenarios. One I faced in my freshman year, the other I faced um right before my senior year at when my actual first breakup happened. Um Problem Child, which was like a sequel of sorts to Simple Plan's biggest hit song, Perfect, which I will get to later, a little later. And I Don't Want to Go to Bed is actually kind of does go hard in some ways. And getting back to the final track off the album, Problem Child, that song, like, it's super underrated and, like, it's, like, super emotionally driven and, like, it doesn't get as much attention as a lot of others, as a couple of the other songs on the album do, and it is so, like, good, like, it's some I remember after like the lowest points of my life, I remember listening to that one and thinking and realizing that it's more relevant now to me nowadays than it was when I first started listening to the album. Something that you might have noticed about these non-singles or even the singles themselves is that they're super underrated despite the album's positive reception. And like, yeah, the only song that I've noticed that is still that or at least that I can see still being played live from this album is Boom. Since I saw videos of them performing it at Warped Tour a couple of years ago, and so I hope they get back to playing that song because it's, in my opinion, it's the best off the album. Originally, I was gonna put this album higher on the list because of like how nostalgic it is for me, but I decided to put it like at the second lowest because even though it is good or at least all right by today's standard, or at least decent by today's standards, it mostly still falls into underrated territory. Like there's nothing wrong with it. I wish that it was at least it was more appealing at the time of its release and it had more identifiable qualities to it and more things that stood out to it compared to like a bunch of the other albums. And the number 4 Simple Plan album on this list is No Pads, No Helmets, Just Balls. Alright, now this is where the nostalgia really starts. With their debut album, Simple Plan made a name for themselves, going from an underground skate punk band to one of the definitive pop punk or emo pop acts of the 2000s. Spearheaded by the singles I'm Just a Kid, I'd Do Anything, Addicted, and Perfect, all of which I still love to this day. Do I even have to explain why I still love them? Okay, I do. I'm Just a Kid is key to many old and new fans' introductions to Simple Plan. It's one of those debut singles that that you instantly right off the bat find yourself attached to when you first give it a listen. Even though the first songs I ever heard from Simple Plan were Grow Up and I Don't Want to Think About You from the first and second live action Scooby Doo movies, respectively, this is the one that officially, like, helped me get discover them and, like, get into them. I found it. I found the song in the soundtrack of the family movie Cheaper by the Dozen from the 2000s, and when I was going through rough times, and like, and I instantly became like attached to like its lyrics and like how much it was like relatable and like how and just like how great like and like the song itself, its music video, and yeah, like a lot of it just really appealed to me. After that, I found one of their non-singles, "Worst Day Ever," ever. Both "I'm Just a Kid" and "Worst Day Ever" were the first two Simple Plan songs that like to like really help me in getting into them, because like I got into them like near the end of seventh grade when I was like a not depressed yet, but like misfit, isolated kid who like had knew very little of what to do in life. Oh yeah, and speaking of their non-singles, they're really good too, such as God Must Hate Me, One Day. Both of those songs like I'd listen to like when I was younger, I'd listen to them usually after either a rough day at school, a time when I'd feel mentally and emotionally down, or like if I or of course like after arguments with my parents, I like listen to them as like a way of coping strategy and like to get all to as a to privately in my mind vent how I was feeling while listening to those songs. There's also My Alien, a song that I didn't really get into until like really years after I became a Simple Plan fan. Like, I mean, at the time it sound didn't like grab me, but like in more recent times, I guess it does. I guess it does in more recent times because like um I'm more used to like different things in sound in music. And one of their most underrated songs ever, which I swear isn't like I'm not exaggerating, is like barely ever talked about. Meet You There. That song, like the instrumentals in it, Pierre's voice, and the lyrics, that song like doesn't get enough attention. I mean, it's barely ever played live anymore. I mean, and even when it was played live, I noticed it wouldn't be too often as on par with a lot of underrated songs. Yeah, but like yeah, that song like it's not a guilty pleasure. It unironically is a really good song. Now back to the singles again. I Do Anything featuring Blink-182's vocalist and bassist Mark Hoppus is yeah, that song was really is I mean not is it's still really awesome and really like it's still really fun. Like I mean, in more recent time, like a lot of some playing songs, there it's like it hits harder in more recent times. Like especially like seeing that song live. I do anything. I do anything. A lot, along with a lot of other Simple Plan songs, it was like totally fun. That song was so good to hear live, and the lyrics really resonate with me, especially like especially like with how my love life has been since that Simple Plan concert, and like me and how me and Emily are doing, and how great we and how like close and unconditional our relationship is, and yeah, that song makes me think of us. Then there's Addicted, another one of their biggest songs, which deals with heartbreak, and which like definitely appealed to me, as like I would especially in my teen years, where either be I liked a girl who didn't like me back, or even after my first breakup, or hopefully my only breakup, like where yeah, like that one, yeah, like a lot of rough times there, and like how like that, and another, and like how like once again me venting and list while hearing that song and identifying with the lyrics. And not only that, but when I went to the Simple Plan and Avril concert that I met my girlfriend at, um Avril, during near the end of Avril's set, she brought Simple Plan on stage, and and her and Pierre sang "Addicted." Of course, like if you watch my video about that concert, you know that me and my sister like had to leave before that part came on. But while we were looking for our parents' car, like I was singing the lyrics to "Addicted" on the way out.
Heartbreaker, heartbreaker. Since the day I met you.
And of course, the final single and track off the album, Perfect, Simple Plan's biggest song ever. Any hardcore Simple Plan fan knows that this song is, okay, maybe not hardcore, but any Simple Plan fan in general knows that this song is always used to close out their concerts. The lyrics to it, like like a lot of their discography, even though like their songs really resonated with me when I was younger. This one especially resonates with me like now that I'm on the verge of entering the 20s, and so yeah, like a lot of things, not just parental pressure, like how parental expectations, but like that like the song talks about, but like living up to other people's expectations in general. Like it's like that is just like the lyrics to that song are just super relatable. And that's what a lot of Simple Plan's music is. It's relatable. Seeing them play this song live was truly a magical experience. This album, while I can't necessarily say it would hold up well today, it still is pretty good overall. I mean, and there are a couple songs that either felt off or just not as good as the others, but it still is a classic piece of pop punk in perfect description. Hope you got the pun there. And without it, Simple Plan's identity really wouldn't be formed. Number 3. Harder Than It Looks. Here's an album that I didn't even know got released until later in the year it got released. This Simple Plan album is rather notable because it's the last album of theirs to feature any form of contributions from David, their original bass player, who got fired 2 years before this for sexual misconduct. You know, typical punk behavior. Hence why he's not pictured on the cover. Even though I kind of knew this album existed and still listened to Simple Plan at the time of its release, I guess the reason why I wasn't fully immersed into it was because this was this was the year and age that I officially entered the pop punk / emo lifestyle, even though like I didn't really have the look or aesthetic of any of either of those genres. The age that I got into bands like AFI, Blink 182, and My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, All American Rejects, A Day to Remember, etc. So I was pretty preoccupied with my listening choices. However, when I did get around to listening to it, I was pleasantly surprised by how much I loved a lot of the songs. The band fused pop rock with their signature pop punk sound and did not disappoint. I found this album through the promotional song Iconic, which honestly still goes hard. Like, regardless if you think pop rock is dated or not, I love this. This song is like super upbeat and fun. As for the singles, I love The Antidote, which lyrically is a song about having an outlet or a person to lean on when you're going through a rough or turbulent or overwhelming time in life, which really describes my relationship with my girlfriend. Like, he is a source of catharsis for me, like especially after a lot of the turbulence that I went through a lot, like when I was 17, like after a lot of that, after a time when I felt I had very little support or sympathy or care, like that, like this was like this song and meeting her was like a source of light after a lot of roughness. Two of the other singles includes Ruin My Life featuring Sum 41 frontman Derek Whibley and Wake Me Up When This Nightmare Is Over. The latter song is based on the effects of the war going on in Ukraine at the time and the people who were struggling with it, or and the fear and panic and struggling and like a lot of those people, and this song was like a message to them. It's really heartfelt and shows just how much the band cares about people and their fans as a whole. Now for non-singles, probably one of my favorite songs off this album, A Million Pictures of You, which is really special for me and my girlfriend. It's a super cute love song, and it's just super fun. I'm glad they played it live a couple times. The other non-single, Anxiety, which is based on Pierre's past struggles with it, and which is super relatable because I have anxiety as well, and as do a lot of my friends. As for my favorite song on the album, I'm split between either The Antidote or Million Pictures of You. Like, this album, like, a lot of the songs are just super upbeat and super, like, even the ones that are, like, more lesser upbeat, like, they're still upbeat. Like, they're super... This is where their pop sound, like, comes alive the most, in my opinion. Anyway, this album is a unique and creative effort for Simple Plan, showing that despite the members now being in their 40s, they still have that adolescent energy that made them so entertaining and appealing in the first place, and will for generations to come. I guess it also helps that Pierre has said that this is so far his favorite album that they've made. And the second best Simple Plan album is Get Your Heart On. Now this is my favorite Simple Plan album by far. I've said this in my favorite metal bands video, but 2011 was one of the most banger and memorable years for music. Comment down below, by the way, if you want me to make a list of 2011 albums. stumbling upon it in 8th grade. I listened to it like almost every day, transitioning from 8th grade to 9th grade, all throughout the summer. I love every single song on this album. Well, almost every song, except Freaking Me Out, featuring Alex Gascar from All Time Low, the band with a lot of allegations against them. Specifically the singles Jet Lag, featuring Natasha Bedingfield, and Summer Paradise, featuring Sean Paul, which are among my favorite Simple Plan songs. The other two singles, Can't Keep My Hands Off You and Astronaut, are really good as well. Like, they don't stand out as well as Jet Lag and Summer Paradise, but they're good in their own ways. As for the non-singles, I love You Suck at Love. That song got me through several, and I mean several, heartbreaks that I experienced in my teen years. Because believe me, who hasn't experienced a lot of those growing up? Loser of the Year, one of their most underrated songs of all, which was barely played live and is now never really played live at all anymore, but is still super good and super catchy. I loved it when listening to it at the end of 8th grade. It was just super fun and catchy, and yeah. Anywhere Else But Here, that song is super relatable. I mean, that song is never played live at all, but I still loved listening to it in school because it really captured that feeling of. It really captures that feeling of being somewhere you just don't want to be at. However, one of the truly most underrated songs coming from this album is Gone Too Soon. That song is so good. It's super emotionally driven, and it deals with reflection on a person after they pass away. And I've seen many YouTubers make tribute videos with that song, and it's just so moving. And of course, the final track from this album, This Song Saved My Life, which is basically a love letter to Simple Plan's loyal fan base, and is a song dedicated to all their loyal fans who are either going through difficulties in life, or like I said before, who love their work and appreciate them. And it's just, and that song I feel like has gotten better with age, because it's another Simple Plan song that really speaks well about my relationship with my girlfriend. Also, I just wanted to add that the B-sides from this album from their EP, Get Your Heart On, The Second Coming, are also really good too. Some of them I like to pretend are actually on the album, even though they're just B-sides. My favorite song from that EP is probably The Rest of Us, which I still love pretending that it's from the actual album itself. It's just super catchy. Okay, I'm not gonna overuse the word catchy, but the lyrics are super identifiable, and I like playing it again and again and again because it's an inspirational song about embracing being a misfit. They have played that song live, but only a couple times. I hope that sometime in the future that they do play that song live again, even though it's super underappreciated and lesser known than a lot of their other songs. The other songs I listened to from the EP are Lucky One, In, and Try. Those songs are, I wouldn't call them among the greatest of Simple Plan's work, but like The Rest of Us, they're still underappreciated. But still, I guess it goes to show just how jam-packed full of underrated songs that Simple Plan is full of. This album so far is still my favorite Simple Plan record because it really, even though I didn't get into this album until years after it got released, I still love it because not only does it represent my love of pop punk and rock and pop rock to a T, but it also captures the nostalgia of the 2010s perfectly, and like it's just so I love a lot of the songs. They're super nostalgic, and like I said before, 2011 was such a great year for music. Like I said, comment down below if you want me to make a list of my favorite albums from that year. This album still holds up pretty well, like both the actual songs and the B-sides. Like I love it, and I hope sometime down the line they make Simple Plan releases a a deluxe edition, like how they did with their, not gonna spoil it, second album, with the B-sides included in the album itself. And the number one best and most iconic Simple Plan album is Still Not Getting Any. Okay, hear me out. Even though No Pads, No Helmets, Just Balls is Simple Plan's most famous album, and Get Your Heart On is my favorite album by them, in my opinion, this stands as Simple Plan's most iconic effort, both music-wise and style-wise. I mean, just look at the cover. Pierre's spiky hair, David's emo hair, Sebastian's shaggy hair, Chuck and Jeff looking the same, no offense to them. They just always looked the same during their careers. And not only that, but it has some of the most iconic songs of the 2000s. Where do I even start? There's the lead single, Welcome to My Life. While following a similar formula to I'm Just a Kid, it's still like unique and honest, and its lyrics of depression. Like I remember like coming across it like when I was 12 and 13, and playing it like constantly, because like it really appealed to me a lot, especially, and as you guessed, it like especially appeals to me in more recent times. Shut Up, which is not only a song about rebelling against people who piss you off or put you down, it's also a middle finger to Simple Plan's critics who weren't supportive of their first album. That song basically told their critics that they're not going to be stopped, that they don't care what people think of them. They're going to make their impact on the music industry, whether they like it or not. Now, this next single is a song that probably everybody knows. Even those who don't listen to Simple Plan knows this song. Like for real, even without knowing the name of it, which is ironic because it is literally called Untitled.
How could this happen to me?
Even though the song has become a meme in recent years due to how over-the-top melancholy it is, I love, like, its lyrical formula, I mean, not formula, lyrical structure is just so well done, and it's like, and like, everybody everywhere, not just emo and pop punk people, but people in general, like, all over, like, can love its lyrics, either ironically or unironically. It's become an in-joke between me and my girlfriend, like, if one of us or both of us experience an inconvenience, we would say, how could this happen to me? Or how could this happen to us? Like, it's just so cute and so funny. It was so cool. It was so cool to see them play this song live as well.
How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes, got nowhere to run. The night goes on as I'm fading away. I'm sick of this life, I just want to stay. How could this happen to me?
There's also the final single, Crazy, which I more, even though the song itself is good as it explores the issues with modern day society, um, I I prefer the acoustic version because both the official acoustic version and the live acoustic version, if there's separate, I think I'm pretty sure they're separate from each other. But yeah, Crazy is a really good song too, and like, and it comes more alive to me like in more recent times. Even, I mean, they didn't play it when I saw them, but like, yeah, it's still a song that they still do play in their shows. Oh, and how could I forget the non-singles as well? Perfect World, Jump, Thank You, um, Every Time, and Promise. Those are all really good songs too. Perfect World concerns the absence of somebody you love and care about. Thank You, a song that deals with the dissolution of friendships, which I can more than relate to. A lot of people can relate to. Jump, which is a song about throwing behind your life's problems, which is a concert staple, and like was super good to see live. Every Time, which is a ballad about missing somebody, and is a song that I listen to a lot in 8th, ninth, 11th, and 12th grade when like when I'd be apart from a love interest, or when I'd be apart from somebody that I love, and like that was like, that was one of the most one of the most emotionally driven songs from Simple Plan that I've listened to. I mean, one of the most emotional non-singles I've ever listened to. Promise, which is by far the most underrated song on this album, and is, or at least one of them, and has probably, in my opinion, one of Jeff's best guitar solos ever. I really wish it was played live more often than it was, or has been. And of course, there's One. Like, this song really has barely ever been played live. I mean, there's just one, I mean, they have played it. I mean, I think the best standout performance they did of this song was like, with the Montreal Symphony, which is on YouTube, which you can find on YouTube, and it was a pretty good performance. I wish they played Meet You There. That song is worthy of an orchestra. Like, that song has orchestral vibes to it, and like, yeah, I hope, I mean, that song One is super underrated, like, and deserves more recognition, as well as a lot of other underrated Simple Plan songs. But anyway, yeah, it was a really rough choice. But to me, this is the most iconic Simple Plan album of them all. Because, at least so far. Because everything they did okay with their first album, they cranked it up to 11 with this one. And that was my Simple Plan album ranking. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So, like, for more future videos, stay tuned and stay good. I hope this summer is fun. So, I will keep you updated when I can. I hope I did that right.